Burleigh. Welcome to another great Educators in VR event. This is an Educators in VR UniVirtual Experience conference led by our lovely team, researchers team. And the UniVirtual Experience is a 3-day conference that is free and open to the public, and especially for those like you that are interested in explore a variety of industry specialties. The Educators in VR Universal Experience is not about a formal conference, but an open conversation. We love to have conversations because we have the opportunity to discuss some topics with experts from around the world and learn more, obviously, together. So be ready to be asking some questions and about whatever you're interested in. So today, we have the Burleigh Heads Language College here with us, with Marie, Juan, and Oscar. And well, they will be talking about this experience that they had with the lockdown and how they did all the researcher for non-closing their school. So it's going to be very interesting. And let's give a big applause, or we can make hearts for them in order to start. Thanks for being with us. We love you, and I will be your host, and see you in a minute.
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you, Educators in VR, for having us here. It is a pleasure to be here sharing with you guys all of our job, all of our work in the last 2 years, right? As Gabriela told you guys, we are BHLC. We are a language college in Burleigh Heads, a small town in Australia, especially on the Gold Coast. Um, and we are a language school, which means that we're a small educational institution, right? And why that is important and why that is relevant, because we didn't have, by the time that we started doing VR, we didn't have the resources. Like, like resources is important, especially if you are going to invest time in virtual reality, right? So when we're talking about research, we're not talking about academic research in the whole, like academically, we didn't do that type of research. But what we did is try to solve a problem we had. And it's because due to the pandemic and the multiple lockdowns triggered an industry-wide shift towards the online learning. And why that was really shocking for us is because our industry um, wasn't used to teach online. We weren't encouraged to use online tools to teach English here in Australia, right? So we faced many problems, like obviously multiple lockdowns. We couldn't teach face to face, and we didn't have the tools to teach English, right? Using these online elements. So for us, it was a huge problem. We didn't have new enrollments. And you know that if you're a private educational institution, it causes problems and also lack of engagement. We were going through a huge problem in education that we're having today is lack of engagement. This is massive. This is something that every single teacher is experiencing in class. Because like nowadays our students are in front of they're using all time smartphones, so they are actually are not interested of what someone is lecturing, right? So in this scenario, we actually set up our research question. Remember, this is how we're gonna use technology to teach English in Australia, right? Online, right? So um, our research question is how can we sustain a school using online platforms? When I said online platform, I talk about learning management systems. I talk about video conferencing platforms, and I also talk about VR, right? So in that case, the first solution and the first attempt that we had using online platforms was setting up our learning management system and record like record post pre-recorded videos of our curriculum, like actually try to deliver our content through pre-recorded videos. And we experienced some, problems in these issues. The first of it was lack of engagement. Again, only 40% of our students actually watched the videos and participated doing interactive activities online, right? We also had complaints and refunds, right? So imagine that you are a student, an English international student, that we all were like that went to Australia from South America, from India, from China, and um, came to learn English, and then you find out that you have to do online material. That's actually really shocking, right? So we have to we have to do refunds, we have to deal with all of these complaints, and also we have some sort of limitations delivering all the ESL macro skills. When you teach English, you have to focus on the 4 macro skills: speaking, reading, listening, and writing. So with our online platform, we couldn't actually work as much as we wanted on speaking, right? Speaking was the most difficult part. So we had to think about how can we deal with that problem using a new online system, right? So we start to looking for different alternatives. So obviously we didn't want to use video conferencing platforms. This decision was made by our marketing department, or also our academic department, because the school policy is that we didn't want to do what the other schools in the area were doing. Like they were using Zoom and they were posting pictures on Instagram, on Facebook. Like everyone. Uh, Using Zoom teaching, like we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to have our students on doing this. So we explored also 360 videos, but this was too difficult to do. We needed like specific skills that and more investment. We also explored Padbot, which is a kind of a tablet on wheels. It financially didn't work for us, and then we discovered VR, the headset. So we explored. We with Oscar, he's not here at the moment, and with Marie, we started exploring different apps, different experiences in virtual reality, and we saw that had so much potential. It was really, really engaging for us. We could see that if we try to implement these in classes, we would have an impact in our students, right? They will be interested in coming to classes, and also they will have a really good impression in terms of marketing. Like learning English using a headset. Like, how cool is that? That's the future, basically, right? So we start thinking about how can we incorporate, right? Incorporate this VR technology into our curriculum. And here is Marie, who is gonna actually tell you what we did through during this process, right? Because our presentations is divided into different stages. All right, Marie. All right.
All right. Thank you for coming, guys. So I'm a teacher here at BHLC. So as Juan mentioned, we found VR and how this is a pretty unexplored resource in the ESL classroom. So our research process was mostly trial and error. So finding different apps, trying different things, and seeing what we can use and can't use. So the beginning of our journey with VR in the classroom, first we wanted to incorporate it into our face-to-face classroom. So this is at a time where we didn't have so many lockdowns, students were allowed back in classes. So we wanted to use it in the physical classroom to give something exciting, something new. As Juan mentioned, distraction is a big, big problem in the classroom these days, mobile phones, things like this. So we wanted to use VR in the physical classroom. Our first step was trying to use pre-made experiences with the students. So you might recognize some of these different apps available on the VR store. So the good thing about these is that they were simple to use. We could just put on the headset for the students and then they watch the experience and gain something from this, right? The good thing, there were no controls necessary. And it was very stimulating. They could have these really, really new experiences that they'd never had before. However, we had quite a few limitations. So the first one and the biggest one was that these apps were designed for native speakers, right? For enjoyment, and not designed for ESL students. Most of our students were elementary, pre-intermediate level, so they didn't have the necessary knowledge to understand and use these experiences. As well as this, because it's pre-made, we couldn't customize it at all, right? It was made and that's it. We couldn't change it. We couldn't tailor it towards our students' needs. And also, these are all apps for fun. It was really, really difficult for us to create a specific learning purpose so that our students could get some meaningful learning from this, rather than just trying to put VR in our classes for the sake of it. We wanted it to be a good experience and a learning experience for the students. So that leads us to our next slide. Juan, if you could do that, please. So we decided, okay, pre-made experiences don't really work in our physical English classrooms. So we decided to try social platforms, for example, VTime, Rec Room, and here in Outspace. So this was amazing because our students could have real-time conversations with native speakers from all over the world in different environments. So this was an amazing opportunity for the students. Again, we had lots and lots of problems actually implementing this into our classes. First of all, many of our students had difficulty with controls, using the avatar, creating accounts. So this was a very, very slow learning curve to actually begin the activities. As well as this, we're a private language college. We didn't have a lot of resources. We didn't have too many headsets. We didn't have the space to conduct these activities. So another really difficult limitation for us. Finally, in these chat rooms, there's not a lot of regulation, right? So as a teacher, it was really difficult to monitor the students' performance and their experiences. We didn't know what other people would be, what they would say. So it was a little bit too unconventional for an English classroom. Thank you, Juan. So the good thing about these social platforms in VR is that we discovered Outspace, a platform where we could fully customize worlds from the ground up. We could create learning environments for a specific purpose, and we could make exactly what our students needed. We could also make really immersive and specific worlds. So this was an amazing discovery for our school. However, we had many of the same limitations: equipment, space, same problems. And also it required lots and lots of preparation planning. We had to create the world, we had to make lesson plans, we had to prepare all the students. So it was very, very time consuming just for a maybe 30-minute, 1-hour lesson. But the takeaways from this, next one, we had 3 main outcomes that we got from this experience of trying and testing different things in our physical classes. So the first one, it was very, very complicated to use VR in the physical classroom with our English students here in class. There are just too many limitations. The logistics made it too complicated. However, we did learn a lot from this process. We discovered here in Outspace that there is a community of VR users already in Outspace. They already know the controls, how to use these environments, and they want to learn English. So this opened many doors for us. We realized, wow, maybe we can teach English here in the metaverse. As a physical school in Australia, we'd only ever taught face-to-face students. So this was a huge step for us, deciding to do something completely new, completely different. So this decision, we decided to create a online-only VR program here in Outspace, where we could find students in the community, bring them to our virtual school, and then give them a specific English course to offshore students. So now I'll pass you back to Juan to tell you a little bit about how we created and did this program.
All right, thank you, Marie. Yes, as Marie said, um, at this point we had to create an online program, right? So uh, we are a private school, needed to generate money, and we actually sell, right? If we wanted to keep our jobs and if we wanted to survive during these 2 years of pandemic, right? So by doing that, we start asking us, this is kind of a research question too, how can we offer online classes to existing VR users, right? So basically, we have to choose the platform where we were going to teach, had to create an online course to teach general English. Why general English? Because we are experts at delivering general English programs, especially intensive programs, 4 hours a day programs, right? So this is what we know how to do. So basically, we started choosing the vocabulary, the grammar topics, then design and build environments, this type of environments, 3D environments, and then create an interactive activity. Why this, like this one, creating an interactive activity was the most important one, because based on our literature review, we have to create a balance between active learning and passive learning. And what does it mean, right? It means that we don't want teacher all the time lecturing and the students there just listening. We don't want this type of passive learning. We want active learning. We want them participating in the work, using the work, interacting with the 3D objects, something that they wouldn't be able to do in a regular classroom, right? So this was the most difficult part, like trying to use different tools in Allspace or in different platforms to create activities that generate learning, right? The second one after this, okay, sorry, I'm gonna be back again in this one. Uh, we had to create this program, and we created some worlds, designed some activities, and created some lesson plans. And then when we had that ready, we actually had to train our teachers to deliver VR classes, ESL VR classes. So in this case, we went through a professional development program where we have to actually teach safety using this. One of our team members had an accident using VR, so we didn't want that to happen. For our teachers, motion sickness prevention, and we actually train our teachers for 20 hours using VR, teaching them how to use different platforms and different tools here in the metaverse, right? And then we decided to actually hosting events in Allspace, right? Like from the from designing the curriculum to actually hosting an event, delivering the classes online. So we had to check different time zones and create an appropriate schedule. It means that we wanted to teach English to English second language speakers, right? So those students are in different time zones, Europe, South America, and so on. So we need to target those times, right? So we had to choose different hours, which was a little bit difficult for us. So some classes were really early in the morning, and then we have to go and teach face-to-face classes after a VR class, or at night, really late. So we have to consider all of that, all of those issues, right? Then create the events, and then we have to wait for the people to come into our classes. At this point, we decided to see if our project uh, had some impact, right? Like if the audience that we had here in Alsper were actually interested um, in doing this, in learning English using VR. And as you can see on this chart, 50% people who attended to these events were 50% higher than the ones who show interest in this, right? So all of the there was more people coming to this event than the ones who actually were really interested in this. So if you ask me if people want to learn English using VR, they really want to. They want to, right? There is evidence that shows that, right? And then our final result actually was we completed a curriculum. We created a curriculum for intermediate and pre-intermediate levels that includes 16 words and 32 lesson plans. That also includes the activities that I was talking about. We participated in different awards, and we won the ETS Innovation Award. If you are in the industry, Helicos industry, ETS is a multinational corporation that actually decides who speaks English in the world by doing the TOEFL test, along with Pearson and other corporations. So actually, they thought that our project was relevant for the industry. So this gave us, something to be proud of in, a small school in a really surfing town in Burleigh, like competing with universities in Australia. So it was like we couldn't believe it when we got this. And also we won the innovation grant. And English Australia is the authority who controls regulates international education here in Australia. And they actually gave us $150,000 to keep working on this. So as you could see, after 2 years, the school is still open. We are still working, and we actually got funding. Uh, Students, yes, we got some students in VR, but we actually have to keep creating worlds, keep creating lesson plans, and keep improving our teaching skills in the metaverse. That's all we have for today, guys. Thank you for coming, and if you have more questions, please let us know. All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was so interesting. So let's begin with the questions, with the Q&A participation. We want to hear from you. Any question, any, I don't know, experience that you have. Thank you, Juan and Marie. Okay, so we have two people asking, okay, to participation. We have Laurel and we have Mike. Oh, we have a lot of people. Good. Okay, let's begin with the first. Come on, Laurel, let us know. You're already up.
Well, one of the problems that you mentioned, I mean, I'm so excited. I've been, I've been such a fan of what you've been doing. And I'm curious about you mentioned one of the problems was motion sickness and things that are associated with, doing it in the headsets and stuff. How did you deal with that? Because that's the first question that we get, even though it's not as prevalent as people think. What'd you think?
Marie, do you want to do this one? Or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I guess it's just a bit of a learning curve, right? And again, depends on the people. Like, for example, personally, I had no problem with motion sickness at all. I don't get car sickness, I don't get travel sickness, so I was completely fine. However, we did have another teacher who does experience these. So for her first few classes, she really struggled. We had to pause the class, had another teacher step in just because she was experiencing such bad nausea from being in VR. I think the only kind of solution or method that we could come up with was just time practice. The more they used it, the more comfortable we became. So really, it's just practicing. Also, we did notice that with different platforms, some platforms have more motion sickness than others, and we did discover that out of all of them, Outspace was pretty comfortable in terms of movement, motion sickness, things like this. So I'm not sure if any of you have experienced the same sort of thing, but for us, it was, just practice, experience.
So there's a recent research came out and said that chewing gum, especially mint flavored, seems to do the job.
Wow.
Here we are trying to change our headsets and do all this and all these things, and it was chewing gum seemed to work. So if that helps,
We have to
discussion.
test.
Anyway, Juan, what you were going to say?
Yes, like we didn't want to push our teachers to do 2D. First of all, because they actually needed to have a really nice laptop, and most of the teachers, like the laptops they have were like basic ones, like they don't need to have like this type of huge graphic card, all of these advanced laptop, like gaming laptops to run Allspace. Sometimes you need it, it overheats, like the laptops overheat, and you don't want that. So we didn't want to push them. So we got the headsets we provide the headsets for them. So yeah, like basically they just needed to get used to wearing, like using the Googles, right? So yeah, like yeah, we experienced some problems with motion sickness, but it wasn't a big well, for the students it was, right? For the students it was because they didn't have the chance to use VR all the time. So for them, every single time that you use it, it was a kind of a new experience. So yeah, that's the thing. And we didn't want them to encourage you to use 2D because what would be the difference between video conferencing and Allspace? Like the idea of VR is being here, and we wanted to transmit that to our students.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Laurel. Okay, let's go with Mike. Mike, you have megaphone already? Ready to hear you.
Good night.
Hi guys.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, what is the next step for you? Are you still tweaking learning in VR for classrooms? Is there a program available for other schools to adopt?
Well, our next next step is actually we want to develop our own platform. So on on that platform, we would be able to actually overcome all of the difficulties of having, like we don't want to create an account for each student because we won't be able to, like deal with all of that process in classroom with our face-to-face students. So what we want is to improve the face-to-face experience, overcome the problems that we had using VR with our face-to-face students, right? Because that's how we want to get more offshore students. And now that the borders are open, we want to use VR more in classrooms, despite the fact that it didn't work for us initially. But now with the resources we have, we can buy more headsets and we can use we can tailor our own experiences for our students, right? So that's the next step for us, like creating our own experiences for students in class. That would be like personally, Juan as part of BHLC, but but depending on how we want to take this project ahead, right? Marie, do you have
Also, if I
another?
can add something, yeah, we mentioned that, yeah, we want to do more for our students onshore as well, but ideally in the future, if it's possible
Mhm.
for us, what we would love to do is combine the students that we have here onshore, our physical students, give them some more headsets, and then have combined classes with our offshore students everywhere in the world. So we can actually have, yeah, this hybrid class together of offshore students and then our own face-to-face students. We think that would be a really great idea for everyone.
Mhm.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Okay, let's go with Malcolm. Your yeah, you can talk now. Thank you.
Hi, you hear me? Oh, okay,
Perfect.
okay, great. Yeah, fantastic. I really enjoyed that presentation. I got a couple of questions for you, and the first one, I've just looked at your website there, and the question that Mike had asked you, I think you've answered that in terms of it says to expand. So it says to expand the work. So in essence, what you're doing is you're using this to expand your online, as you put it, serving up
Mhm.
for the students that you've got at the moment. And that makes a lot of sense. Does that mean that you didn't have as much success getting offline students as you had hoped at that initial stage?
Oh, yes and no. First of all, because we got some online students, but we haven't finished our curriculum. So it's actually really narrow. So we can only teach 2 levels now. We want to finish the whole curriculum for general English. We want to teach IELTS preparation, TOEFL preparation, so
Mhm.
we can target more students. And we need to find a way to teach in different time zones, right? So we need to find more teachers able to, teach this during these times. We don't have at the moment the resources to do that, but we will. And also, yeah, we have to do all the proper marketing to reach the students online, right? So it's just, like it's because our school is the whole industry in Australia is to focus on face to face. Right now that we are getting face to face students again, we are actually working towards rebuilding our school, and then we're going to jump again on online, getting online students. So it's that getting resources from one side to put resources in the second side. Right?
I got
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Totally.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you for your
Totally.
question.
And the second relates to in this sort of substrate neutrality, because I think that's because you're talking about your own platform there, and I think this is going to be the hardest part where we're at the moment, is the next stage forward, because we're in this very, very delicate balance between different huge enormous companies. Apple's just about to walk into this area. You've got we've got AltSpace, of course, and then Horizon Worlds, which we don't have access to, nor I believe you in Australia at the moment. But yeah, it's all seems to be that Horizon, Zuckerberg is talking about monetizing the platform already at a very early stage. So I think that then you've got here within this environment, we've got organizations, companies starting to grow. We've got the Help Club, which I'm sure some of you, which is an individual platform. But by doing that, by setting up your private application, you're separating yourself to a large extent. And I've noticed that, the Help Club seems to be a fantastic platform application, but it's cutting itself off from potential clients and students by isolating itself in its own platform application. So I just wonder how it seems like a quagmire. It seems like a really, really tricky situation, and I wonder how you're thinking about. It seems to me that it's just going to be luck. Some people are going to be lucky and they're going to land in the right space and move forward in the right sort of area way of doing this, providing courses, and some people aren't, and because you can't be in everywhere at the same time. So I'm thinking about what your thoughts are about that, and how what vision you have.
Yeah, actually, Joel, the person in charge of designing the platform, he will answer that question to you. If you can come here and actually be part of that, answer that question. Can you speak?
Oh no, because he can go and come to
He
the
can come
stage,
in.
but
Okay.
I can give him now. So you can
Please.
Joel.
Yeah. So, hi guys, I'm the level designer and game designer. My name is João. So yeah, our idea is not create our own platform. It's more like a single player experience for our students onshore. Because our students here, they are not used to VR. So the first time that they use Outspace, they are like the wow factor, like they go everywhere. They they are amazed with Outspace. So our idea is like create some experiences, like an app based on our curriculum. So they don't have like the learning curve to use. It will be just like for example, they can go to a zoo, but they just teleport and they don't click anything. They can just click play to listen to audio and pause. This kind of experience, So we like teaching them from the beginning, because if we merge them with Outspace, that would be too much for them. So that's our idea. You don't want to like, for example, stop using Outspace, because Outspace is a platform for that. So we want just like the single player experience. That's our idea.
That's
keep
what we meant
using
with our
Outspace
own
as
platform.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you, Joel, for that.
Okay, let's go with Mitch. Mitch B. You now have a megaphone. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm also from Australia. So hi,
Okay,
hi
great.
from Melbourne.
Okay.
I just want to make a quick comment on your last question there. I think it was Malcolm, was it? I think one of the keys is that we just have to be really kind of multi-dimensional too. We have to be, like Joel was saying, we have to be developing Unity stuff. We have to be developing in Altspace. We have to be looking at Horizon Worlds. You really just have to be looking at all of them. But my question to you was, the one thing that jumped to my mind was, how important is it, the video component? Because obviously that exists with Zoom. You can see people's mouths moving, and you can see, I guess you can get some visual information about inflection and things like that, which is not so easy to reproduce in Altspace. But how important is that, and how do you deal with that part of it?
Video in VR, it's what you meant?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I've got this wrong because I'm not coming from a language tuition background, but I mean, I would have thought that one of the important parts was being able to see mouth shape and just understand how pronunciation
Okay,
comes into
pronunciation
it.
issues.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
But
we
maybe
actually
that's not
do.
important. I'm just curious about it. Yeah.
Okay, we actually haven't developed like our pronunciation program in VR, right? What we did basically was, okay, taking the student to a new environment and teach them vocabulary, teach them some grammar points, and then encourage them to speak and interact with other people. We just wanted to create communication skills, right? Be able to communicate, be able to interact with other people in VR and also face to face, right? We are still developing how we are going to deal with the pronunciation. We decided that showing videos in VR it's too much. It's actually wearing a headset and then watching a video using the headset it's too much. So we rather focus on the activity itself and interacting with the world, right? Generating critical thinking as well, generating also making them to ask, like helping them to to interact with other people. That's what we wanted to do, because they remember that some of them were in lockdown, some of them were at home, they didn't want to go out, right? Like they couldn't, right? So that's what we wanted. Mari, do you want to help me with this, or?
Yeah, this was actually something we've talked about when developing our classes. So, as we mentioned, at the moment, the curriculum that we have is pre-intermediate and intermediate. So, they're a little bit higher. They already have a grasp of the English language. But as we start to develop some elementary, really lower basic English courses, this is probably something that we need to think about or something like that in there, so we can have that to supplement our own speaking activities. But at the moment, yeah, we haven't really had to focus on this issue. But yeah, for lower levels, elementary, definitely phonetics, pronunciation, this will be a big thing in the future that, yeah, we'll have to figure out, and we'll let you know as we go.
Yeah, like like sometimes as in the metaverse everything is possible. So the point is that at the moment we don't have the knowledge to create something that helps the students to move their mouth, to put the tongue in the right position to pronounce a word properly. But I'm pretty sure that we are getting really close. We're gonna get to the point that we are going to be able to like design a huge head, a huge mouth, and that that teaches the students how to move their mouth, their lips, their tongue, pronounce a specific word in English, right? So probably. All right.
Great.
So,
We are going there. Okay, so let's listen to George 3D. You already have the megaphone.
Thank you. Mitch, I just wanted to let you know that I'm in contact with a company that is they're working on headsets that will show the real user's facial expression. So if I
oh,
understand correctly, you send them pictures and then they will, like, I guess, a scan of your face so that your actual real-time facial expression will be shown on the avatar. But from the sound of it, they won't be ready till the end of this year or next year. But they sound very good
well,
for therapy and possibly for language.
yeah, every single innovation regarding the facial like, tracking, mouth movements, it would be amazing. Uh, but yet, like we have to wait. We have to wait. Like this is just baby steps that we're doing, and then we'll see how can we incorporate this into our curriculum, into our language teaching, right? Great. Thank you so much, George.
Great, George. Great question. Okay, let's go with Dar.
I actually just to move extend on that. I think VR is a great way to teach language because part of it is placement of your tongue. So if you are able to have this 3D um, thing with a mouth with in front of you, I mean, you can't go into somebody's face and look to see where their tongue is. On a 2D screen in front of the class, you're not going to walk in and see that small tongue on that face. But if you have a big picture of a 3D mouth in front of you and watch the placement of the tongue and how open the mouth is and stuff like that, I think that'd be a great asset.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Thanks, Dar.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Juan, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, go.
Yeah. Well,
You were going to say something
okay.
else.
So thank you, Dar. Yes, thank you, Dar. Yeah, that definitely like it's like all of this has been a learning experience for us. We are trying to design all of these things, but between creating worlds, between creating our own um, experiences and teaching face to face, and getting resources, it's difficult to encompass all of the small, like all of the steps that we want to incorporate in our VR teaching. But yeah, step by step, like it's we are evolving as the technology as an our knowledge does, right? So yes, it's just time. It's just time, like it's if we think about what we've done in the for the last 2 years, uh it's quite a it's been a quite a amazing learning process, and not only for us, for our students as well, because they weren't used to learn using this type of technology. So yeah, like eventually we will get to the point that we can actually design a huge mouth that like if you want to learn how to pronounce properly, I don't know, a really difficult word, like for example brewery, right? They need to learn how to do it. Like they will be able to, our students will be able to see how the mouth moves, how the tongue, the position of the teeth, everything. So yeah, that would be amazing. If a designer job can will be able to do that, we'll definitely incorporate that in our uh, lessons. All right, great, thank you, Dar.
Great. Okay, we have another question from Malcolm. I don't know if you have another, I think, because you are now here and you have the megaphone. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me again? Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to, but a second, because I think my reflection on, because I think it's absolutely incredible what you're doing, but also the need for a USP, a unique selling point if you're bringing language into the metaverse. And I don't know if you've thought much about the interface between, because for students coming in, that there has to be a reason why this environment would be of benefit, that it would offer something more than they can get in a classroom or around the corner, as the world is opening up. And obviously during the pandemic, there were obvious reasons why people would want to interface online. But since the pandemic is no longer, so that USP, and what I'm thinking of is you got apps like Drops, which I'm sure you've heard of, in the environment for allowing people to learn vocabulary. But one of the great things that this type of space and environment allows is for the creation of worlds. And I'm sure that, you were talking about using the worlds for interaction. But one of the things that I think is something that is really interesting to me as a potential is the use of these worlds, these environments, for the creation of what are known as memory palaces. Which are specific environments to learn vocabulary, because I think there's a huge untapped opportunity for offering a USP, which is the ability to learn a lot of vocabulary very quickly with the right type of teacher who can use this type of environment to create places where students can store a lot of vocabulary. And there are some people working in this field already, attempting to put together applications related to this. And I think this is something that is very much something that could be a unique selling point for the use of VR in the creation of, the opportunity for learning a lot of vocabulary very quickly. So just thoughts for you there.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the point is, what we actually were trying to do, and agree, totally, I totally agree with that. But the point, like, our approach to teaching, it's actually immerse our students into a situation where they have to learn a specific vocabulary, right? Because if we just give them like tons of words, but they don't know where to use it in a specific situation, like they will be able to use those, but not accurately, right? Like, so our purpose is actually place them in a learning environment where they don't know, where we can actually design specific situations where that vocabulary is accurate and effective to communicate, right? That's what we want. So by creating all of these worlds here in Altspace, we allow the students to see, okay, in this specific situation, in this environment, in this problem or issue, we are giving them the tools, to solve a problem in English using the right vocabulary. Yes, I agree. Like, it's really useful if we give them, like, okay, let's go to this space and get, I don't know, 200, 300 words, right? Go to that app and use those words. But then the jump is doing it in face to face, where you really need to communicate, and that's where the teaching it's important. It's where the learning and the coach, in this case the teacher, comes to, okay, mate, like, in this case it's better to use this specific word rather than that collocation that it's not the right one. But yeah, definitely, like, if you want to increase vocabulary, especially for advanced users, that is the right tool. But if we are talking about lower users, elementary, pre-intermediate levels, the best idea to increase vocabulary is to using VR is take them to 3D environments where we are targeting a specific vocabulary to use in a specific situation. Thank you for your question. Yes.
Also, if I might just add something.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like a unique selling point. If we're looking at it from a marketing perspective, what we've tried to do with the online campus is kind of make it very centered towards Australia and the Gold Coast in specifically. So we're a school, Burleigh Heads Language College. So in the metaverse, our school is in Burleigh Heads. So we have school, the campus, we've tried to make it a little bit similar. We have the cafe across the road. We've actually recreated this exact same cafe in VR, kind of with the expectation that our students can have this real life experience in VR. And then should they want to come, they can actually visit Gold Coast, they can come to these exact places, practice the grammar, the vocab that they've used in like the same situation, right? They can learn how to go to the bus stop, use the public transport system, go to a hospital. So we've tried to kind of create a realistic world specifically here on the Gold Coast that if students come, they can recreate, practice this vocab and this experience. So yeah, our unique selling point kind of is just Burleigh Heads, the Gold Coast experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Surfing, like remember that in Australia, that's what we usually do. But yeah, great. Thank you, Marie. Yeah. Anyone else?
Oh, I have anybody else? So we can actually we are 5 minutes far from ending the event, so we can give a big applause to these
Thank you.
presenters. I would like to see your hearts.
Thank you,
It's a
guys. Thank
great
you.
presentation. Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
And probably we can break the stage and start talking in groups or.
Yeah.
But before, don't miss tomorrow. I want to make a kind of like an announcement. Tomorrow we will keep going with our UniVirtual 2022, and tomorrow we will have excellent. Oh, I have some people asking. Okay, so we will have excellent presentations related to medical and healthcare, business, marketing. So you will love them. They're going to be exciting. Most of them are going to be here in Space, but we will have one in Engage. If you don't have an account, please open your account and let's go there because we will be talking about soft skills and how VR could help in order to, I don't know, it's going to be amazing. So see you there. Laurel, I don't know if you would like to close the event or yeah, no? Okay. Thank you very much to everyone. We're going to we can make a little social here. Thank you.